I'm not sure if any of you noticed, but last week a handful of billionaires imploded themselves while trying to go down to see the Titanic. Did you see that? Were you aware that that happened? If you weren't aware that that happened, please let me know in the comments your secret to living a happier life than me, because I try to have a healthy number of offline hobbies and activities, but eventually the algorithm gets me. So yeah, just let me know if you didn't know about the Titan submersible. There's a lot to talk about in regards to this tragedy. There's the fact that it dominated the news cycle while the media more or less ignored the drowning of hundreds of migrants in a capsized boat off the coast of Greece. There's the debate over whether we're allowed to laugh at this, considering that these people paid $250,000 to be locked in a drainage pipe controlled by a $30 video game controller, or if that's gauche because there was a teenager on board, and also the death of any human should diminish us all, etc., etc. That's all interesting enough, but I'm here today to have the truly important conversation that really matters. Did these guys implode themselves because of wokism?
So one could make the argument that the CEO was promoting diversity and or irrelevant characteristics over merit. So this ties into a theme that we've been talking about, that we care more about merit than race. This person tragically passes away, the CEO of OceanGate, and he says that he was choosing and selecting his personnel based on not wanting to have 50-year-old white guys. Then you could make the argument, albeit rather cruel and blunt, he killed himself and his customers with wokeness. Difference if you had 50-year-old white guys? You don't know. But he was bragging that I just don't kind of want the archetype. I want to be more inspirational. Well, sorry, Pat, hiring a lot of people to go deep, to go explore the Titanic now. It's a tragedy. It's awful. It's terrible. I don't find any delight in this at all. But I think it's necessary to play that tape, because here he is going on a PR tour saying, well, you know, I'm checking all the identity politics boxes. Let this be a warning to when we say that we want to hire more black pilots. Oh, hold on, slow down. People could die if you embrace the poison of wokeness.
Charlie Kirk and his impossibly tiny, huge baby face have a point here. If we assume wokeness is inextricably linked with gayness, and a submersible is an awful lot like a submarine, and submarines are used by the US Navy, which everyone knows is the gayest branch of the military, or at least they were until Trump made the Space Force, then yes, wokeness definitely killed these men. But no, he's actually referring to audio of OceanGate's CEO, Stockton Rush, who was on board the submersible, talking about how he didn't want to hire 50-year-old white guys to pilot his submersible because they aren't inspirational.
When I started the business, one of the things you'll find, there are other sub-operators out there, but they typically have gentlemen who are ex-military submariners, and you'll see a whole bunch of 50-year-old white guys. I wanted our team to be younger, to be inspirational, and I'm not going to inspire a 16-year-old to go pursue marine technology. We can train people to do that. We can train someone to pilot the sub. We use a game controller, so anybody can drive the sub.
Now, I understand why Kirk, along with Fox News and the other usual alt-right suspects, heard that and ended up thinking, wow, this happened because of wokeness. It's because today's conservatives are extremely naive and they believe every word a billionaire CEO tells them. Why did Rush not hire competent professionals to pilot his vehicles? Oh, well, of course it's because those were all old white guys, just not innovative and inspirational enough. With just a tiny speck of skepticism and about 3 seconds of research, these guys could have figured out that that's a ridiculous lie. He didn't hire competent professionals because every competent professional he involved in his harebrained scheme saw straight through his bullshit and called him out on it. Consider this middle-aged white guy by the name of David Lockridge, who once worked for OceanGate as director of marine operations, but was fired after he raised safety concerns, like how the Titan's viewport was only certified to go down 1,300 meters, while the Titanic is at a depth of about 4,000 meters. Or there's this 50-something white guy, Rob McCallum. He's a deep-sea exploration expert who was one of 36 industry leaders to sign a letter to Rush begging him to stop offering commercial tours using a vessel that was unclassed and not certified by an independent agency to verify that it met the basic standards of strength and stability and safety. McCallum gave BBC emails he exchanged with Rush in 2018, where he tells the CEO that he is placing yourself and your clients in a dangerous dynamic. Rush defends himself in those emails, saying, "I've grown tired of industry players who try to use a safety argument to stop innovation and new entrants from entering their small existing market. Since Guillermo and I started OceanGate, we have heard the baseless cries of, 'You are going to kill someone,' way too often. I take this as a serious personal insult." Well, he didn't just kill someone, he killed 4 someones plus himself. And he did it not because he was woke, but because every, quote, old white guy expert repeatedly told him the truth. Standards exist for a reason. McCallum also may have been correct when he told Rush he was putting the entire deep-sea exploration industry at risk, leading people to believe that the entire business is unsafe and frivolous. And now we can see that the collateral damage may also extend to diversity quotas and affirmative action, which is a hot topic this week as the Supreme Court prepares to hand down a ruling on whether or not colleges can use race as a factor when admitting students. The right desperately wants you to believe that for every marginalized person who's accepted to a good university or hired to a good job, there's a more skilled, more qualified white person left behind. If you have the logical reasoning of a 4-year-old, that makes sense. If all things are equal and the black kid gets into the school instead of the white kid just because he's black, that's not fair, is it? But all things aren't equal. The scales have been tipped in the favor of white people since this country was founded, before even. And to this day, colleges continue to hand out legacy admissions to mostly rich, mostly white kids whose parents attended that same university and have a dining hall named after them, leaving behind countless poor, black, Hispanic, indigenous kids with better grades. The mostly rich, mostly white kids whose parents can afford SAT tutors get in as well, leaving behind their peers who have more skills, more creativity, or more ambition. And these affirmative action programs for wealthy white kids are going to continue indefinitely to the detriment of everybody. And I really mean that. Everybody. When we stop prioritizing diversity in education and the job market, everyone suffers. And I have the science to back that up. To make this argument as compelling as possible, I'm just going to look at a measurement that conservatives themselves say is really, really important to them: worker productivity. Personally, I think that humans are productive enough and we could all benefit from being a little less productive, but I accept that our society is capitalistic and that requires a constant increase in worker productivity. So it goes. Mentoring and the Dynamics of Affirmative Action was published last year in the American Economic Journal, Economic Policy. In this study, researchers formed a mathematical model based on previous research that shows students and workers from underrepresented minority groups tend to perform better when they form relationships with mentors that are from that same group. They found that the worst outcomes in terms of productivity were when an industry or university had no kind of affirmative action or a short-term solution that stopped once they hit a certain level of diversity. According to Yale's press release describing this study, in fact, the model suggested that achieving maximum productivity would often require over-representing the minority group in the workforce. For example, if the general population was composed of a 70% majority and a 30% minority, then the profession would need to be tilted toward the minority, say 65% majority workers and 35% minority workers. At first glance, such a system might seem unfair, but the researchers explain that it simply takes into account minority students' ability to recruit talented junior members of their group in the future. For example, if a majority and minority student have the same qualifications on paper, they might seem equally valuable, and both can effectively mentor others from their group once they rise through the workforce. But the majority student's mentoring ability is not in short supply. The minority student's mentoring ability, in contrast, is a sparse resource. One has a rare skill and the other one does not. Sorry, average white people, the science proves it. You are lacking a rare skill that will increase worker productivity. The market has spoken. Sashay away. Okay, that was just one study of a mathematical model, not ironclad proof that white people are a net drain on society to the point where we're even fucking things up for ourselves. But researchers do now have a whole lot of data that shows that affirmative action has been immensely helpful at improving the lives of the people it was originally meant to help. When California outlawed affirmative action in college admissions in 1998, Black and Latino student populations were cut nearly in half. And economists at Berkeley found in a 2020 study that the ban led to a 3% drop in the number of minority Californians earning six figures, and that overall Black and Hispanic college applicants earned 5% less than before the ban, while white and Asian salaries remain the same. So to sum up, affirmative action works to improve lives. It does not lead to billionaires committing the most expensive possible murder-suicide in history. That would be disruptive libertarian capitalism.
Hurry up! Hurry up!
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you loved the video, please subscribe. And if you think the world could use more videos like this and you happen to have a few bucks laying around, head to patreon.com/Rebecca and join an awesome community of nerds like the people whose names you see on the screen right now. Thanks.